The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I was on jury duty last week, and it is done. Quite a eye-opening experience. It truly was. So, I have a ton of stuff to talk about today, and I do want to say that with this video begins me talking about my new hobby. So, for those of you who follow me on social media, I got into knitting on my birthday and I have just run with it. I love dealing with yarn. I really, really do. I know that there's crocheting and everything else, but for me right now, I'm enjoying knitting. So I'll be talking about some of my projects later. But let's get to the books. So these two books I'm really, really excited about. Both came to me from Denver Public Library. So thank you, Denver Public Library, as always. So the first book, I do have a little story to tell you. It was many years ago in New Orleans before I moved there, and I went to Jazz Fest. And there was a particular author there that I really wanted to meet, and I got to meet him, and he signed my book. It was a copy of Why New Orleans Matters. Excellent book, by the way. If you love New Orleans, you need to read the book. And so I talked with him for a little bit, and I kind of kept up with him through social media. So when I found out that he had a new book coming out, I thought, okay, I really, really have to read it. And this is the Auburn Conference by Tom Piazza. So let me read the back of it for you. Let's see. That doesn't talk about it there. Oh, it doesn't talk about it at all. Okay. Anyway, well, I'll just make it up for you, sort of. So basically, imagine if, who are the characters? An 1883 writers' conference with Herman Melville, Walt Whitman, Frederick Douglass, Mark Twain, and other characters that come for, like I said, a writers' conference. And I just have to say this, that Mr. Piazza really did the voices of the authors well. Like, I felt like I was reading the words of Mark Twain or Herman Melville. And he had two fictitious authors. There was one that was a former Confederate general, and then another one was a romance writer. Oh, and there was also the author Harriet Beecher Stowe. So you have all these authors coming in, and there's all this tension. And the big tension was when they had to answer the question, what is an American? And just reading one of these reviews here, Tom Piazza has gathered the nation's most renowned writers in response to a provocative question, what is an American? These four words posed by a character in the aftermath of the Civil War resound today with such perfect timing. Through this tantalizing dialogue, the past interrogates the present and future, and we cannot play innocent or uninformed. To read the Auburn Conference is to be there, listening, raising one's hand, nodding one's head, or even rising to one's feet in protest or applause. And that was one of the reviews back here. So, like I said, I felt as though I was right there at the conference and seeing these literary giants, and to read Tom Piazza's words as though they actually spoke them. I felt like I was right there. I really did. I think he did a phenomenal job of speaking as Mark Twain or Herman Melville or Walt Whitman. The only hang up that I had was the Confederate general. It just seemed a little bit he seemed a little bit too stereotypical for my taste, and especially antagonizing Frederick Douglass. I get it. I get the reason of the character. I really do. I just felt it was just a little bit too much for me. But other than that, I truly enjoyed the book. I devoured it in like a day and a half. And like I said, I'm a big fan of his work. In fact, another good book by Tom Piazza is City of Refuge, which is a Katrina novel. And I think he handled that storm really, really well. But If you love these classic authors and you want to imagine this writers conference as actually having happened, the Auburn Conference is for you, definitely for you. And it does receive 4 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like was the Confederate general, and when I read him, I thought, oh boy, is he going to be stereotypical? It's like, yeah, a little bit too much for my taste. But other than that, excellent, solid read. And I do have to say, Mr. Piazza, if you're all watching this video, I really liked how you handled Walt Whitman. I really, really enjoyed that. So just overall, a delicious read. Very much enjoyed it, and I highly, highly recommend it to all you viewers out there. So once again, The Auburn Conference by Tom Piazza, highly, highly recommended. Thank you. So the next book, once again from Denver Public Library, this was an author I'd never heard of before, but the cover intrigued me, and I thought, well, give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, you can return it. This was another book that I devoured in a matter of days, and I am now a fan of this author. And this is Ilium by Leah Carpenter. My apologies for the glare. So let me read the dust jacket for you. Set in the dark world of international espionage, from London to Mallorca, Croatia, Paris, and I can't read that. The gripping and suspenseful story of a young woman who unwittingly becomes a perfect asset in the long overdue finale, of a covert special op. The young narrator of Leah Carpenter's dazzling new novel has grown up unhappily in London, dreaming of escape, wishing to be someone else, and obsessed with the locked private garden. I really liked the garden and what it symbolized. On the eve of her 21st birthday, at a party near that garden, she meets its charismatic and mysterious new owner, Marcus, 33 years older, who sweeps her off her feet. Before long, they are married at his finca in Mallorca, and at last she has escaped into a new world, but at what price? On their honeymoon in Croatia, Marcus reveals there is something she can do for him. A plan is in place, and she can help with a favor. This turns out to be posing as an art advisor to a family, where Marcus instructs her to simply listen. A helicopter leaves her at a remote, highly guarded, and lavishly appointed compound on a spit of land in the Atlantic. It's presided over by an enigmatic, charming Russian patriarch, Eduard, along with his wife, Dasha, and children, Nikki and Felix. I really liked Felix. I love that character. He was great. And populated by a revolving cast of other guests, some suspicious, some intriguing, perhaps none like her what they seem. Brilliantly compelling, this is an unforgettable and unexpectedly poignant story of a long-planned, high-stakes CIA Mossad operation that only needed the right asset to complete. And reading about the author, she's the author of 2 novels, 11 Days and Red, White, and Blue. She's a lecturer at Columbia Law School and lives in New York. So I actually read the bulk of this during jury duty, and it is one of the best espionage books I've ever read. I've not read that many, but from what I've read, this is one of the best ones I've ever read. And just a hint of psychological thriller, just a hint, just enough to keep you guessing and to read this book on the edge of your seat. I love the fact that the female character was not kind of wishy-washy. Like, she just kind of stepped into her role because, as the dust jacket stated, she wanted an escape from her dreary, unhappy life in London. And Marcus, as he put in, what did he say? As in Aurelius. And I thought, okay, that's really cool. The fact that you're referencing Marcus Aurelius. But I loved the careful pace. It wasn't a slow pace, but it was a careful pace. All the while, the line is getting tighter and tighter and tighter with this espionage, with this plan. And you think, is this really going to go through? Are there going to be hiccups? but I loved how Leah Carpenter delivered the entire story. And yes, I really enjoyed reading Felix. Felix is, I think he's 9 or 10 going on 30. And as the story goes on, you watch his character develop and bloom into this individual that will stay with you for quite a while once you finish reading the book. But excellent espionage with a hint of psychological thriller. And I felt like I was right there with her thinking, oh God, are we going to pull this off or not? So Ilium by Leah Carpenter does receive 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. I love, love, love going into a library and checking out a book by an author I'd never read before. Sometimes it's, oh, it's not my thing. And other times it's like, wow, this is an incredible book. What else has this author written? And that's how I feel about Ilium, very much so. And my apologies, I forgot to read about Tom Piazza with the Auburn Conference. So Tom Piazza's 12 books include the novels A Free State and City of Refuge, the story collection Blues and Trouble, and Why New Orleans Matters. He was a principal writer for the HBO series Treme, and he lives in New Orleans. So my apology for not talking about that sooner. So on to, what to talk about next? How about the tea? Yeah. So no review today. I'm enjoying a lovely herbal tisane that is orange, ginger, and turmeric. I get this from Kroger actually, and I love the way that it tastes, especially adding honey to it. It just enhances the flavors without being super sickly sweet. I've already had my caffeine this morning, so this is going to be my nice little afternoon somewhat pick-me-up. But I do want to talk about one of my tea blends, and it coincides with a lovely day that is coming up soon. So many of you guys are into Pi Day, that's 3.14, and I actually have a 3.14159 tea blend. And the ingredients are green tea, orange peel, ginger, and juniper berry. A little side note, for most of my green teas, I use Japanese sencha. So if you're not a fan of sencha, but I personally enjoy the taste of sencha. So I don't normally put sencha tea on my labels, but if anybody asks, that's the green tea aspect. But yes, 3.14159 is available on my website, viridianteacompany.com, and I'll put that on the video so you can check it out. But I think this is the only bag that I have left. I did have a couple of bags, but I sold them at the recent Spring Makers Market at Fiction Beer Company, which, by the way, many thanks to Fiction Beer for putting on a really fun time. I got to meet some cool vendors and talk with some customers. And of course, it's, a brewery that has beer that's inspired by books. I mean, you can't get any cooler than that. But if you're a math nerd and you're looking for a new tea blend to try, 3.14159 is available on my website, viridianteacompany.com. And now on to my really favorite subject, knitting. So, currently working on 2 projects right now. One of the projects I've got in my bag in the back, but I wanted to talk about this particular project. So this is going to be a scarf for me, and the yarn is from Big Twist, which I'm not sure about the company, but I know you can get it at Michael's and definitely at Joann's. So this particular color, if you didn't see it on my social media, is called Rainforest, and it is absolutely gorgeous, supple. I find that my bamboo needles really kind of love the yarn, so to speak. But just get a close-up of that color. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I did a lot of knitting at the recent event at Fiction Beer, and my scarf looks a little bit odd, but I'm like, you know what? It's for me. I'm happy with it. But yeah, so this is Rainforest. And then yesterday, I got another order, and this is also by Big Twist, and this one is called Beach. I love this color. The video may not be doing it justice, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And I cannot wait for my bamboo needles to work their magic with this yarn. And speaking of which, Viridian Tea Company will have a new tea blend coming out really soon. And it is called Bamboo Needles and Soft Yarn. That is my love of knitting, even though I've only been doing this a little over a month. But in doing social media searches about knitting and crocheting and yarn addicts and yarn lovers, there's a whole lot of folks out there that are into yarn. And in fact, I found out that there is a fiber arts festival up in Loveland, Colorado, not too far from where we live. And it's in April. So I am gonna go. I'm just gonna check it out. It's my first time doing a fiber arts festival. It's through a company called Interweave, I think. But I just want to check it out and just be among other people who love yarn as much as I do. So I might do some videos there. I might take some pictures, but yes, I am definitely going, and I am just so looking forward to this. But yes, so once again, if you're interested in purchasing, I got both of these from Joann's. This is Big Twist Party Rainforest and Big Twist Party Beach. I had to make sure I got them right. So if you are looking for new yarn to collect, definitely check these two out. They are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Right, so that leaves only the tea and water meditation, and then I send you on your way. So make sure you have a cup of tea or a glass of water. Find yourself in a comfortable position where you're not going to be disturbed, and we're just going to focus on our breathing, like you know. And if you're ready, let's do this. Now let's end this breathing meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or allow your eyes to come back into focus. And now let's have a sip of your tea or water. That's so good. So that's all I have for today. Many thanks to Leah Carpenter and Tom Piazza. I'll show the books one more time for their wonderful, wonderful books, The Auburn Conference and Ilium. These books you definitely need to check out, definitely. Many thanks to the folks at Kroger for making a really good herbal tisane, and for Joann's for having these lovely, lovely colors of yarn, beach and rainforest. And as always, for you guys for watching these videos and dealing with my silliness and my happiness over discovering books and music and yarn and tea and anything under the sun. So thank y'all so much. So as always, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your teacup high. And remember that to drink tea is to enjoy life. I will see y'all really soon. And don't forget, Pi Day is coming soon. So if you need some tea, 3.14159 tea blend is available on my website. But I will see you really soon. Bye for now.